Thank you very much, the chairman of our great party, Senator Cleophas Moses, other party leaders here present. I would just want to say some few sentences. I would use this opportunity to thank our great party as represented by the National Working Committee that saw in us and recognized us as elders of this great party that would add value to the development of this party. I would also want to say, sir, that I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to be a straightforward, simple assignment. It is going to be a very, very hard nut to crack. But I also know that as people and elders of wisdom, we will try to be up to the task of reconciling members of our great party. And it is also my prayers that this is the beginning of the journey to victory. Most of the members of this committee are people that are very, very close and known to me for a long, long, long time in political battles, in the trenches. It's not easy. And a lot of aspirants must remember something. And I will want to quote from Mala Aminu Kano. After the 1979 elections, the great Zik of Africa, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Dr. Zikwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and the author of Politics Without Bitterness, Alhaji Waziri Ibrahim, visited Aminu Kano in Kano, wanted to recruit him to challenge the results of the election. And Mala Aminu Kano, in his usual wisdom, refused to see them. Refused to see them at his Mumbai quarters house. And after they left, the NTA visited him. And he had this to say, that I ran to be the president of Nigeria. I wasn't elected to be one. But I placed myself in the position of the person that was declared. Now, would I be happy if I had the kind of votes he had and the spread he has, and some people ganged up to stop me from harnessing the fruits of the victory I made? We are. I know, for example, in a constituency in Kano, there were 70 people who wanted to take that single position. 70. And eventually, one of them was picked. Now, if all those ones now fight that it should be me, it should be me, it should be me, so there should be 70 slots for that single position, definitely it's only one person that can occupy or fly the flag of this party as at this time. And I would also want to say that just before the primaries, a committee of aspirants held a meeting at Chelsea Hotel before the primaries. And I was invited as one of the guest speakers. Unfortunately, I looked at all the aspirants direct into their faces and told them that these primaries will not be done according to democratic norms as known to us, nor can you also get justice. People will be surprised that I said so. I said so because the Electoral Act that was contrived will never allow justice nor democracy. So it means I said if I were them, we could have just ceded the powers to the party to choose whoever they so want without acrimony, and we have candidates to move forward. Unfortunately, the law says there must be processes. And I want to say again, for people in the press to know, that the process of bringing out candidates in the Electoral Act is such that it is impossible for any opposition party to, without rancor, bring out candidates. As I speak to you, I have a fine of 150 million naira on my head over primaries that took place in 2011 in Kano. On the day of the primaries in Kano, 3 people were killed, 57 people were hospitalized. Only God knows how many died after. They macheted each other. And this government, or APC, designed it deliberately such that they can even send the thugs to disrupt the processes of direct primaries. It is an impossible thing. So those who, we were a party, I was national secretary of the CPC, and we thought we are taking back the responsibility of generating candidates to the people. Unfortunately, the people are not ready to accept that responsibility that was ceded to them politically. So they were armed by various aspirants, and it was the battle of the fittest. So we lost it, but we had, as a party, must produce candidates. So we sat down in the night, looked at the list of the candidates. It was only 24 hours to submit the names of the candidates to INEC. And we just picked randomly across the state and sent to INEC. A group of them took us to court. General Buhari, Chairman Board of Trustees. I'm saying all this so that we know the enormity of what we are going to be dealing with. Prince Tony Momo, National Chairman of the party. Me, the National Secretary of the party. Ahmadu Danzago, Factional Chairman of the party. Dangazmi Gorzo, Factional Chairman of the party. Sharif Babalungu, another factional chairman of the party. Because there were 3 very strong candidates, Senator Faihanga, Mohamed Abacha, and Lawal Jafaru Isa. All of them had their parallel executives. So up initio, even from the start, it was a battle-drawn scenario. So they took us to court. As we were attending the court and paying through the party, CPC merged with other parties to form the APC, of which I was #1 signatory to the formation of the APC. So I was funding it through my pocket. I said, what do I have to do? I'm not part of the new order. I stopped funding. So our lawyers stopped going, and they gave judgment against us. A lawyer came and advised me that we must appeal that judgment, or it is very dangerous. I said, why? After all, Buhari is there, Tony Momo is there, why should it be me that should do this? They said, no. He said we should. Unfortunately, then we went to Court of Appeal, then in Kaduna. I couldn't bear the cost and abandoned the case. So for want of prosecution, the court now threw out our appeal. And those who took us to court went back to the High Court and asked for damages, 150 million naira. We didn't defend ourselves. They got judgment. So I became a scapegoat. They were not chasing Buhari, who was president. They were not chasing Tony Momo, who was chairman of the former party and chairman of University of Jos Governing Council. They were not chasing Malami, who became Attorney General. They were not chasing the treasurer, the legal advisor. They were not chasing Sadia Farouk, who became minister of whatsoever. So they started chasing me alone. They went to my house and packed every movable thing in Kano, took it to the court. I tried to retrieve. It was not possible. They came the second time, including generator and even including mat, any movable thing. They packed again. The third time, they came to attach my house, which ordinarily, when we asked how much did they sell everything that they packed from the house, they say it's 1.8 million. They were looking for 150 million. So the next thing is to attach the supposedly my house. And the house could have costed at least 300 million naira. They could have attached it and auctioned it for 10 million. And then I'm still paying additional money. I have to negotiate because they took my brand new Jeep. They took a pickup vehicle, which was burnt during the riot in Kano. That one alone is over 100 million, the two of them. I'm bearing the brunt as I speak to you. So direct primaries in our own setting is an impossible thing for any opposition to do. And not only that, they reasoned, because this electoral act was designed and perfected even before it was taken to the National Assembly by the president. And he was only after protecting himself and protecting his party and making it difficult for other parties to produce candidates. Because as I speak to you, Tinubu is not thinking of a contest or competition with any person. That is his hope, but we will never allow it to happen, because I was on record to say that even if it is a coffin, empty, contesting against the Tinubu, all the parties, all Nigerians must come together and throw him out for the sake of this country. So, very difficult, because he is they are in power. There are 35 and there are 34 and a half governors. The one that is not with him, visibly shown, is Makinde.
Oh, okay.
The half is, Oti, forget about that. Bala Mohammed. And I'm saying Bala Mohammed is half because Bala Mohammed met with us after the wee hours of the night. 3 a.m. we parted. We were to go to NDC together. Just for him in the morning to call that he has rescinded his decision, that he was advised not to go into any party with a strong presidential candidate. So it means Bala Mohammed now is on the fence. He may work with us, he may work with them. That's why he's half, as far as I'm concerned. So if you are in power, you have the authority to say, look, please, we are only fielding this man. All of you step down. Or they can compensate you. We have nothing to use to compensate anybody, except we reason, except patriotism, that we need to salvage this country. Ladies and gentlemen, especially those of the press, I think, speaking on behalf of my colleagues, we will be resolute, patriotic, and make sure that we persuade all those that felt aggrieved to look at the larger picture of Nigeria rather than individual, individual ambition. And to the party, we are grateful. We thank you very much for having fished some of us to be your ambassadors in this journey that we are supposed to take. Mr. Chairman, thank you, and extend our thanks through you to other members of the National Working Committee of the party. Thank you very much.
Well, that is...
I feel humbled and challenged by this assignment, because I know that the future of our country rests on it in very, very many ways, more ways than we immediately imagine. But I want to begin not just by thanking those who have taken the trouble to think it through and recognize that this is an important process, but by recognizing our nature as African people challenged. I can tell you that I've just spent some time with some very senior people looking at the problems of our continent, not just our country. I made a speech in Geneva a few months ago, and I'm returning to take that forward next month. It will be a year since that speech. And I pointed to the fact that 12 men in California have more capital than the entire continent of Africa. And a leading British investment banker said, well, they cannot invest in Africa because there's no infrastructure to make significant investments in Africa. And my response was, that is actually an opportunity. If they put all that capital into developing that infrastructure, because Africa, with its resources in natural, man, and all of that, the fact that people are young constitutes the future of this planet. And after that, we started an initiative. I happen to be chairman of the Pan-African Trade and Investment Committee for the African Union, private sector. With the Afro-Exim Bank, we are launching an initiative of a new narrative on Africa. Because the question was, these men don't see Africa. All they see is bad politics. They don't see the entrepreneurs who are getting ready to make this continent a different place. And so I come to this assignment bearing that in mind. And I begin by reminding myself of who as Africans we really are. We often say, and the South Africans capture it best in the Ubuntu concept, I am because we are. The tendency to focus on self, this narcissism that's eating up our political space, has prevented us from remembering who we are as Africans and recognizing that we all have the possibilities of thriving because the collective thrives. If we would just bear that in mind, we will see the need to reconcile differences. These are small things compared to the greater good that is out there that we can claim as a people. You know, many years ago, an American president called Lyndon Baines Johnson made a statement which the Malaysians took and made it theirs. He said, it is better for everybody to be inside the house, pissing out, than for some people to be outside the house, pissing in. Because the house will smell, and you won't be able to enjoy being there. We're calling out to all of our compatriots. People have been hurt in different ways, but the greater good will profit you just as it profits those who may be, quote-unquote, temporary winners. Together, we can bake this bigger cake that can lift our country and ultimately our continent out of where it is. And pardon me for being an academic in an interest area. It's a famous Malaysian economist called Jomo Sundaram. And Keyes once said that all these writings about Asian economic miracle, that Western authors don't understand what happened in Asia. And what happened is that one serious country began to get it right. And the other ones looked across the border and said, see those people who better start doing what they're doing. And before you knew it, you had a flock of geese flying together. And so it's called the flying geese phenomenon. We owe it to our children, to this continent, for Nigeria to become that leader of these flying geese. And our divisiveness has for too long prevented us from claiming and executing that role. And so what we are doing, and I'm extremely privileged by the company that I've been put in. Engineer Gladima, he and I have been fighting for 50 years. And we are still very good friends. So it means that we can make other people be friends. But the extraordinary privilege of having someone like Senator Birabi. Many of you don't really know him. Sometimes our country is robbed because it doesn't showcase the true builders of this nation. And Senator Birabi is one of them. And so the privilege of being able to work with such people suggests to me that it is possible for us to truly get this thing together and get everybody to see the bigger picture. Just by coincidence, I happen to be also involved in the process of the party developing its manifesto and policies. And one of the things that we have come to some agreement with in discussion with the leadership is that this party is going to be a party of the future focused on the young people of this country. The median age of our country is 19.5 years. If the bulk of this huge population is there, we have to vision a future in which they are all global champions. And to be able to do that, we have to leave all these petty little things. Find those young men and women, bring them into this process, get them to become like Barack Obama became leaving Harvard, community organizers, to go into the society and help create that future, not waiting for even a political party to. And this process is what we're starting here. There is nobody who has entered this process that will not have a place in building this great Nigeria. And some of those who may have, quote unquote, not received nominations may be greater champions and receive greater benefit in that outcome. So what we're calling for is for people to get ready, for all of us to wash our hands well so we can eat well together, because truly this pounded yam that is about to be put before us is bigger than the one Chinua Achebe wrote about. It doesn't matter where you are sitting and you're not seeing the people behind, plenty of pounded yam to eat. The problem is that a few people who see very narrowly in their narcissism think it's a small cake and are creating discomfort for all of us. Let us show them that there is a big cake and let our country go forward and thrive. I thank you all very much.
Our father Galadima.